Well, following on from my interview with the Chief Minister yesterday, we had a question that was raised about gas prices, and I was quite interested with the response. Certainly, it was forthright from the Chief Minister, in my views. Barry Murphy's joining us, of course, from the group that are putting pressure on the prices and the structure here in the Isle of Man. Barry, you've had a chance to see this video now, and obviously we've had a change of ministerialship as such. So over to you. How do you think it went, and what do you think is coming up?
First of all, I'd like to thank MHK Thomas, Chris Thomas, for all of his help over the last 4 years. I think MHK Thomas would probably understand that I do feel that things have taken a little bit too long, actually far too long, but trying to be polite. But at the same time, I appreciate that this is not a simple, straightforward problem to solve. And I honestly think that MHK Thomas has done everything in his power so far to try to find a solution. And I think probably we're fairly close to some kind of a solution, but whether it's going to be a good enough solution, I'm not entirely sure. So on the back of that, I would hope that MHK Thomas would do an interview for you on MTTV sometime very soon, just to give us an update now that he is on the backbenches now as opposed to a minister. So I would hope at this stage he'd be a little bit more free to speak about what he knows and what he doesn't know, to be very upfront with us now.
Okay, well, he's had an invitation to join us, but he hasn't yet, but we're hoping to hear from him. Let's talk about the gas. I mean, we're talking to the Chief Minister, and he says he's wants things to move at a pace now. He was putting a line in the sand, really, I thought, on this, so which was interesting. And who can sustain the 9.99 in this day and age, which again I thought was quite interesting to him to say that.
It is. Chief Minister Quayle will understand the same as I understand and you understand, and anyone who's shown an interest in this over the last 4 years, that this is not a simple problem to solve. And I believe that a reduction in this profit margin is not going to be enough to satisfy the long-term demands, needs of extremely concerned gas customers. So the last time I spoke to you, I quoted numbers and percentages from the NERA report. And I said to you on this interview that we were paying in excess of 63% higher than the highest price cap customers, Ofgem customers in the UK. That's the highest ones, not the lowest ones that are in between. The very highest paid customers in the UK, we're paying 62% higher than them. So any reduction in the profit margin cap of Manx Gas will not be enough. These costs that Manx Gas have to pay have to come down. They have to come down. So the government and Manx Gas have to get together, and they have to come and find a way to bring these costs down, because only when these costs come down, and only when Manx Gas can find a way to bring its own costs down internally within that business, then we can look at a real reduction. Because at the end of the day, you can bring that profit margin down as much as you like, but if you keep pushing up the costs higher and higher and higher, the percentage that's put on top of that cost cap is still going to come out the same. So we have to get the costs down, and we have to ensure that the costs come down and they stay down. So yes, it's positive, but Paul, I'm not that easy to please. I demand a little bit more transparency than all of that. So I would hope that there'll be something positive coming from a politician in the order paper in June to support, if you like, the good intentions of the Chief Minister. I would hope that when we see this the pre questions, if you like, that come out, I think tomorrow or the next day for June, there'll be some good questions in there for Tim Ward in June. I would hope, and I would really sincerely think there will be.
And are you wanting meetings with a new minister now, or do you think that your case file is just being passed over?
I think he should do an interview with you. He doesn't necessarily have to do an interview with me. I mean, look, we've done everything, and I've done everything really that I feel I can do. I've never met Minister Harmer, but Minister Harmer knows very well who I am, because you've done interviews with me on taxis and transport and buses over the years, and as disgruntled as I am with the unfairness, if you like, of the gas situation on the Isle of Man, I'm equally as disgruntled with the situation with transport on the Isle of Man and the way that taxi trade has been treated. So I've passed my concerns to the what used to be the DOI minister, Minister Harmer, over the years, and to be perfectly honest with you, I was never very impressed with any of his responses. So I don't have much faith, being honest, because you always want me to be honest, and I'm going to be honest. I don't have much faith in Minister Harmer taking over this situation, certainly with respect to gas. That's my personal opinion. I'm not expressing that opinion on behalf of the group, but I have got concerns because of my involvement with transport over the years. So what I really believe now is that MHK Thomas should come forward to you and tell us all, including Tim Wald, about where we are up to with the gas situation. And then from that point forward, and hopefully Minister Harmer can take the matter forward on his behalf and go and sign and seal and deliver whatever he needs to do. But let's be very clear. We do not want the OFT in charge of regulation of our gas anymore. We've said right from the day one, we want an external regulator. We believe that because for 4.5 years nearly now, we've had a very bad deal. And this bad deal has cost us not hundreds of pounds, Paul, it's cost us thousands and thousands of pounds in excess. You know, I mean, if you looked at that 62%, you've only got to work it out. And over the years, if we paid £5,000 on gas over 5 years, 25,000, 60% of that is probably most customers. It's cost us about £18,000 over 5 years more than what we should have paid.
But of course, you have got the extra transport charges getting it to the Isle of Man, haven't you? So you have to take that into account in the policy.
There is that, Paul. There is that. But then again, it depends. You see, I did say to you in the last interview as well that, you know, I'm not a mathematician. I'm not involved in any way with government. I do like to lobby them and try to keep them on the toes somewhat. But at the end of the day, the taxpayer paid for the transmission lines that go from Glenmore to Pulrose. And then as I understand it, and I'm willing to be shot down here, that there was a loan given by Treasury to Manx Gas that has to be repaid over something like 40 odd years or so for so many millions of pounds. We've already paid that. So why are we paying it again? That's one of their costs. And if that cost has been transferred back to the gas customer a second time round and we're paying a profit on top of that, that's not fair. These costs have to come down, Paul. Otherwise, me and you are going to be going on about this for the next 2 or 3 years.
Okay,
you know.
Two things. I'd like, obviously, once again, to extend an invitation to Manx Gas if they would like to do an interview. They didn't take us up on the last one, but it's always there, so we'd like to balance this up, please. And secondly, you would normally have a demonstration, I think, booked. I know we haven't been allowed big numbers under the emergency powers. I think that's about to change, and if it does change, will you be going back to that sort of tactic again?
Don't want to, but you know, I actually quite like the people who turn out even though we don't get many turn out. I actually quite like them. We're all like friends of mine. I catch up and have a good chat with you on the day as well. So yeah, I have no problems with doing it. I don't want to do it. There should be no need to do it, Paul. I haven't had a response from the Treasury Minister, by the way. I told you in the last interview that we sent a letter to Dr. Allinson, who was, I think he's been checked. I think he's removed. And I think there's a new minister in charge of the MUA now. But Dr. Allinson was very kind. He gave us a pretty instant response to the questions that we asked. But the only way that we could actually do anything with them numbers was to also send another letter to the Treasury Minister. I've reminded Minister Cannon to send us a response. He hasn't sent us a response yet, so that's kind of stalling our plans as well. And I would reach out to Minister Cannon and say, look, you know, you are involved in this, so you really need to be getting, you know, giving us the answers we require.
Yes. Okay.
So
well, Tim Baker's
the only other thing I
of
can
the MUA at the minute, but he's being moved around because he's been made a minister now as well. So there's a lot of. That's the trouble, I suppose, when people do change positions. There's a potential, anyway, of things getting stuck or lost or pushed into the long grass.
Yeah, look, I get all that, but the thing is, Paul, 4.5 years, I don't really care for the excuses anymore. I'll be honest with you, I don't have any faith in Manx politics at all anymore. I've had too many bad dues, COVID-19 situation has affected me really bad. I've got business on the side that's closing in September. The taxi is parked up beside the door. It's not doing anything. I don't need excuses anymore for anything to do with politics. There's too many excuses and there's not enough going ahead. So where I stand with this, I've asked a group to send an email to the local MHK. I drafted an email, so any of the politicians that may be watching this that are wondering where these emails are coming in from, all these concerned gas consumers, I drafted it, and what I've asked is a pledge from our members that if this matter is not sorted by the election next year, under no circumstances should they be voting for the current MHK. I've asked for that pledge, and that's what I mean. And I've already told Minister Cannon, and I've already told Minister Baker, as he is now, that there's no way in the world will I vote for them next year if this matter is not sorted. There's no more excuses. It has to be done. We cannot wait forever. And there's only one other thing, and you see this, and I'm not probably going to be alone on this. Where I'm sitting right now, we have a gas boiler. And strange as it sounds, my gas boiler is actually only half operational at the minute. So I can get hot water, but there's no heat. Of course, we're in the middle of summer and we've had a heat wave. I don't need any heat. But this is where I stand with this. The house is, I think, about 14 years old now. So the boiler's 14 years old. I don't really want to spend a lot of money repairing an old gas boiler. Now, I can get a new boiler for £2,000, or I can get oil installed for £5,000. So the problem I have is, do I wait in hope that the politicians are going to come up trumps and fix this situation, or do I just get rid of the gas boiler and borrow extra money and get oil? And I'm not the only one that's going to be in this situation. This is just drawing on and on and on and on. And, nobody is winning on this. The politicians are losing faith and face on this. And, we need to fix it. It's as simple as that.